I've been coaching volleyball for 14 years, won 4 state titles as a coach, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I do the same exact thing the first week of practice every season. And no, it's not because I'm out of ideas or I'm stuck in my ways. It's because it works. And in this episode, I'm going to be pulling back the curtain on an activity that I do that my players secretly love and hate at the same time, but really sets the tone for our season. And if I haven't met you, I'm Coach Bre. I am a mental performance coach for girl athletes. I work with teams and coaches across the country to build the mental strength of their programs, including their culture and their systems and all the things that go into building a really strong program. And one of those things are your routines and your structures and the things that you do from season to season that kind of build the foundation of what you're doing. So something that I do within the first week of the season every single year is an activity called Earn the Right. Now, I can't take full credit for this because I actually got the idea from my college coach. We used to do something called Earn the Right within preseason. Basically, it's a series of challenges that my athletes go through in order to earn their gear. But it's very intentionally designed and we do it for a purpose. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about what the purpose of Earn the Right is, why we do it within the first week of practice, exactly how I run it. Now, I do it as a volleyball coach. So I'm going to be talking about volleyball skills, but you can apply this to whatever sport that you coach. And then finally, how you can do this within your program if you really want to start your season off on a good note and set the tone for your culture from day one. So first of all, why we do Earn the Right. And as an overview, Earn the Right is a series of 6 challenges that I have my team go through. I'm going to tell you about what they are specifically in the next part, but basically they start with individual challenges and they end with team challenges. And they're designed to kind of frustrate athletes. They're designed to put them in challenging situations that they have to mentally and physically work through individually and also as a team. And it's not to make them, doubt themselves or break them down to build them back up. Like, these challenges are doable. I've been doing it for 14 years and every single team, every single year has been able to get through the challenges. It's not easy, but they do get through. And there's a sense of accomplishment and pride. And sometimes girls even cry like happy tears when they get through it. But the reason why we do it is a few things. First of all, we say it's Earn the Right because we include and tie in their gear with the completion of some of these challenges. So each challenge that they complete, like I said, there's 6 of them, they earn a different part of their gear. So they earn their jerseys, their backpacks, their jackets, their warm-ups. So if you have something in your program that you give to your athletes, maybe you give them their jerseys, you give them their backpacks, any gear like that. We say everything is earned, not given. And so we literally make them earn the practice shirts and the jerseys and all of the things so that from day one, they learn they have to work for things. They're not just given things. They're not just given wins. They're not just given accolades or anything like that. They have to earn it. Okay. So that's one reason why we do it. Another reason is because it's hard and I want my athletes to be mentally tough. One of the things that we teach in our program is mental strength, mental toughness. We train the mental side of the game. So I actually give my athletes mental training tools before we go into Earn the Right. And so simple things like how to come back from mistakes, because they're going to make a lot of mistakes in Earn the Right, what to do and how to control your emotions, how to regulate yourself when you're feeling frustrated with yourself or with your teammates. Okay. So simple things like that, how to talk to yourself when you feel like you can't go anymore. That's mental training. And if you want to learn specifically about the mental training skills that I teach my team, go to my free training. It's at coachfreetraining.com. I teach all of the things that I teach to my team within this season in a very simple to use way. I also tell you about my program, Plug and Play Elite Mental Game for Teams. This is the literal plug and play program that you can use with your team if you want to incorporate mental training, but you don't have a lot of time, you don't want to become a sports psychologist, all of that. Like, you can literally just press play and your team can also get these mental training skills. So anyways, I want to test their mental strength. I want them to have opportunities to use those mental training skills and put them in tough situations because the game is not going to be easy. We've won 4 consecutive state championships. The target on our back just gets bigger and bigger and bigger each year. And every single team is going to be giving us their best. And so I need practice to be harder than what they're going to see in a game. I need them to be under some pressure situations and I need them to practice how they're going to respond. And so I design that in practice, and Earn the Right is one of the ways that we do that. So they get frustrated with themselves and they get the opportunity to use the mental training skills that they've learned to get over that, okay, and get through it. The other thing is that they get frustrated with their teammates. As they progress through Earn the Right, they also are in some small group drills. They're in drills where they're with their whole team, and it can be frustrating because part of it is if somebody makes a mistake or doesn't complete part of the drill, we go back to the beginning. It can be hard to be that person who made the mistake. It can also be hard to be the teammate that's like, oh my gosh, we were so close. And then all of a sudden this person messed up. And how do you show up as a teammate when one of your other teammates is struggling or when you're frustrated with somebody? And so I intentionally put them in that situation in practice through Earn the Right so that they're not meeting it for the first time when they're in a pressure situation in a game. So it also allows for some team dynamics and some team bonding, not just this like rah, we love each other team bonding, this like real life, I'm frustrated, I want to get this over with team bonding, and we've got to work through it and work together. So that's another purpose. And then finally, it's skill progression. So I'll talk in a second about what the drills actually look like, but the skill progression, they progress from individual ball control drills to 6-on-6 team-like drills. And so we say you've got to crawl before you walk before you run, run before you sprint. And we can't just go to 6-on-6 play. You have to earn the right to practice as a team. And in order to earn that right, you've got to demonstrate that you can do these individual drills and you can do these team drills where it is a lot of mechanics and fundamentals, because you do not deserve to play in this bigger team setting where we're running systems and, going fast if you can't master the basics first. So a lot of reasons why we do it, a lot of really solid reasons, and athletes buy into that, but it's also something that they're like, oh my gosh, earn the right, here we go again, because like I said, it is challenging. So that is why we do it. But let's talk about what it actually looks like. Now, of course, I coach volleyball, so you can think about how this might translate to your sport. And I would encourage you to think about what you want to emphasize. I just talked about, 3 or 4 things that I want to emphasize in my program: mental toughness, teammate relationships, skill progression, earned, not given. Like those are all really important things in my program, and Earn the Right reflects that. So think about what that is in your program. So for us, the first challenge in Earn the Right is they have to forearm pass to themselves for 3 minutes in a row. So I do this with my varsity team. Now JV and C team, the other teams in my program, do it as well, but they do a little modified version of it. So they all have to pass to themselves, forearm pass for 3 minutes in a row. It's a simple ball control, but it becomes a little bit challenging because all 12 have to complete that 3 minutes at the same time. So if anybody in that group of 12 drops the ball, I say stop and we start back over. Timer is at 0. Okay. So the challenge is completed when all 12 players at the same time can pass to themselves for 3 minutes in a row. Okay. So that is challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 is very similar. They set to themselves. So overhead pass to themselves for 2 minutes in a row without dropping the ball. And so if anyone on the team drops the ball, we go back down to 0 and then we restart the clock. They all need to be able to do it at the same time. Okay. And so those are the first 2 challenges. And typically athletes get through that and know the level of your team. Okay. Don't put them in a situation that's impossible. Okay. So if you know it's not possible for your team to pass to themselves for 3 minutes in a row, like they're just not at that skill level, then adjust it. Don't put them in a situation that is impossible, but you do want to stretch them. Okay. Because when they start to redo it, multiple times, that's when it starts to get frustrating. So it typically takes my varsity team on our best years, they've gotten through those 2 things in about 30 to 45 minutes. On not as great years, when we need a little bit more training, it takes a couple of hours, and that's really frustrating. Some things that I allow unlimited water breaks. Captains can always call a timeout and be like, hey, we need to stop, regroup. They start to bond with each other and help each other out in these situations. They start to sing to themselves and talk to each other. They find kind of the routines that they can settle into. So those are the first 2 challenges. The second is now we move to some small group stuff. So I call these shuttles. If you're familiar with volleyball, I'm sure you've heard that term, but over a net. So they're in groups of 4. I wouldn't go less than 4 because it starts to get a little fatiguing. And they start with 2 people on one side of the net, 2 people on the other. And they start with passing. So they pass over the net and then they run under the net into the back of the line. Okay. So as a group, they've got to get 20 passes in a row. And then they switch to setting. They got to get 20 sets in a row. Okay. And then they switch to pass to themselves and set over the net in a row. And again, they're running to the back of the line and things like that. And then they have to pass or set to themselves and down ball over the net. Okay, now this is where it gets a little tricky because ball control is really important in this. And I think I have them do like 16 of that, so 4 per person or something. So they've got to do that. And then they progress to, I feel like I'm missing one, but if I think of it, I'll let you know. And then they progress to like 2-on-2 over the net play, and they have to control the ball, get a pass, a set, and a hit over. Each person needs to do that 3 times. Okay. And I put some stipulations on it. I say it can't be the same person hitting every time. So when they get to that, they actually stay on their sides of the net. It's cooperative, but I do want them going up and taking a full swing. I don't want them just like, easy down balling. I want them to actually do the right mechanics. And so once they get 3 per person, each person needs to swing 3 times, then the drill is over. Now, the caveat here is if they mess up at any time in that sequence, they go back to the first thing, which is passing. So they go all the way back down to 0. And that's where it can get frustrating in this team setting is that, we were so close and now we've got to go all the way back down to passing. Okay. With my varsity team of 12, there's 3 groups of 4. Not all of the shuttles have to get done at the same time. They're just completing it in their little group of 4. And so once that little group of 4 is done, then they're done, even if the other 2 groups are still going. Okay. And then we progress to, I've switched it up from time to time. We either do some free ball work. So they have to get 100 free balls perfectly passed in a row. So I'll do a butterfly drill. So if you coach volleyball, like, what that means. But they have to pass 100 perfect free balls. Okay. So free ball is like just an easy ball. So translate that to whatever sport you play, but it's a very fundamental thing. So we want to pass 100% of free balls that come our way perfectly so that we can run a really good fast offense off of that. So I track the outcome, but I also am standing on one side of the net and I am watching for a couple of things. Are their wrists and hands together? Is their platform straight and simple? Are they facing the ball angling to the target? And are they calling mine? And if they don't do one of those 4 things, I say no, and we start back over. Might sound harsh to you, but it's really not. That's very basic things that we need to do every single time. And honestly, as a coach, your players will rise to the standards that you set, or they will fall to the standards that you set in your expectations. So if you allow them to not call the ball, if you allow them to swing their arms all over the place or break their platform, then that's what they're going to do. And so we train that from the very beginning because those little habits are what's going to hurt us down the line if we don't get this right now. Okay. So we do that. This one goes pretty fast. So they typically can get through that. And then we move on to some serve receive. So serving and passing, 2 most important skills in volleyball. For this challenge, they have to complete 103 passes. There's 100 perfect serve receive passes. Now, this doesn't have to be in a row or anything like that. Serve receive passing is a lot more challenging than free ball passing, but we want to pass 103 passes. That means it's like a perfect pass. We've got all 3 options on our offense. And how this works for us is, everyone's rotating through serve receive and everyone's rotating through serving. And then we have a target. So the target is just catching the ball and then going over to serve. If they pass a 3, they obviously get a point. If they pass a 2, so a little bit less than a 3, a non-perfect pass, but still pretty good, it's just a wash. We just keep going. And then if they pass a 1, that's fine, but they cannot, they can't pass a 1 or a 0 2 times in a row. So a 0 is they get aced. A 1 is like not a great pass. We can't really do much with that. You can adjust that too. It's just, you can't get aced 2 times in a row. And then you go back down to 0 if that happens. Also on serving, if you miss 2 serves in a row, back to back. So if one player goes and misses their serve, the next player misses their serve as well, then we go back down to 0. But they get benchmarks. So every 25, they get to lock in that 25. So that makes it a little bit better. So they're not at like 89 and then they go all the way back down to 0. That would take forever. So this one is probably the one that takes the longest for us, but honestly, they get so many reps. They get so many reps practicing serving and passing. And that's what we want at the beginning of season. We want them to get a lot of opportunities to get better. I also can give a ton of feedback on serve receive during this time. So it's okay that it takes a while. And then the last one is called bucket of balls. This is our 6-on-6. So we've progressed now to team play. Yay. How this works is they get a bucket of 6 balls. Okay. And they have to complete, it's kind of a cooperative drill. They have 2 minutes in each position. So it's 6-on-6. And again, if you don't coach volleyball, then just kind of adjust and think of how this might translate to your sport. But for the first 2 minutes, it's only setting the outside. Okay. So it's outside versus outside. So outside on one side is going to swing, hit the ball over. We're going to pass, set the outside on the other side. And that outside is going to hit over the net. And we're practicing defensive systems here. So as well as offense, but are we getting in the right defensive systems as we're defending an outside attack? So they're doing this for 2 minutes in a row cooperatively. If the ball drops or we mess up, they get another ball in, but they only get 6 balls. That's what the bucket of balls is. They only get 6 for the whole drill. So first 2 minutes is outsides. Second 2 minutes are middles. So same thing, middle versus middle. The next 2 minutes are right sides. So right side versus right side. And the last 2 minutes is a back row attack versus a back row attack. So we've got to keep the ball alive, or at least 6 balls for those 8 minutes. And if at any time the ball drops, I throw in a new ball, but again, they only get 6. So once they've used up all their 6, if they didn't get through that 8 minutes, so outside, middle, right side, and back row attack, then we go back down to 0. Okay. So that is earn the right. Each of those 6 things is tied to a piece of gear that they earn. We have practice shirts, jerseys, backpacks, jackets. And then once they're done, we get to move on to, whatever else we're doing that season. But at the end of it, I've been able to, first of all, give my girls a ton of reps, progress through a lot of things, put them in really challenging situations individually and as a team, and really help emphasize a value that we earn everything that we get in this gym. So that's why it works. It really does work because they're being put in situations that I want them to be in, especially when it comes to mental training. A lot of times athletes don't actually get into that situation until they're in a game and the game is on the line and it's big pressure. And so this is one of the ways that we add pressure into practice, is literally putting them in situations that are designed to make them be challenged and designed to make them fail a little bit. Like, how are they going to respond? And it's best when they have skills to use in those situations. Okay. You can't just throw them into the deep end and expect them to just like sink or swim. So that's why we actually train simple mental training skills even before they start earn the right, so that they have skills to fall back on. So again, if you want to learn some of those skills, go to my free training. It's at coachbretraining.com, and I'll lay that all out for you. Now, how can you do this with your team? I already kind of gave you some suggestions, but what do you value? What do you value on your team? Skill, mental training wise, team culture. And that's how you're going to tie in some of that. I would think of, you don't have to do 6. I've evolved this over the years. You can start with just like 3 challenges that you want your team to do. And then think of like, okay, what is the skill level of my team? What would be challenging, but also doable for them? And then come up with some challenges. And how you present it is really important too. The why behind it is key, because they're going to get frustrated and they're going to get potentially mad at themselves, mad at their teammates. And so they need to understand, like, why are we doing this? Okay. It's pretty easy from a coach standpoint to understand why, but sometimes as athletes maybe won't understand it unless you really give them a reason. So think of what your values are, come up with some simple challenges that you can do. And maybe if you can, tie it to earning some gear so that they're not just getting handouts and they are earning what they're getting. So hopefully this is helpful and gives you some ideas of what you can do. Like I said, I've done the same thing for the past 14 years. And it's been fun. It's actually something that athletes look forward to, but also dread. They can practice for it over the summer too. Like, I actually encourage them, make sure you're doing some ball control, so you got earn the right coming. And then when they get through it, they just feel like they've accomplished so much, and it's a really great way to start the season. So, all right, everybody, I'm Coach Bre, a mental performance coach for girl athletes. I hope this was helpful for you as a coach. Again, check out our free training, coachbretraining.com, if you want to learn more. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Coach Her Game podcast.